So let's talk about, your entrepreneurial journey, and also because we are an oil and gas platform, so we'll touch a little bit about that also. But just to start with, about your entrepreneurial journey, I've seen few of your videos, and I've seen that, you overcame the social stigma of the society. So I wanted to know that, how did you start this business and overcame the social stigma, given the fact that you were very comfortably doing well in your current corporate job? So how did you overcome that social stigma about the society pressure and about what our neighbors and family members they talk about things?
Right. So Parth, I think it's all driven from passion out of it, right? So when you believe in something, you actually go into that direction, and you will always be challenged, per se, to follow a particular script, right? So the script is very simple. You do your 10th, you do your 12th, then you appear for engineering, medical, or other competitive examinations. Then you study there, you probably get into an IIT or other premium institutes, get a job, then buy a house, buy a car, get married, have children, go around, life goes around them, and then die, right? So a lot of people will travel in between, a lot of people do a lot of stuff to say that they're doing a lot, but then there's a very standard script that's already written in the world. But then now I believe that some special scripts can never be written. And people who actually make a dent in the world are the people who don't follow the script. So, and the only way you can do that is when you believe in something and you follow that path. That's what I've been doing ever since, be it right from my 10, 12 days to now, from my early teenage days to now. It says that follow your passion, follow your heart, know which direction you're heading to, and everything will take in place. So I think that's in summary what has happened.
Was that something always in you, like from your starting days? Was it something that you really wanted to do?
Well, coffee, no. Entrepreneurship, yes. Making an impact, yes. Uh, you know, doing things beyond which is written in the script, yes. How will that turn out? Will that be coffee? Will that be something else? Actually, just took shape. And as I always say, it's not necessary to have everything clear in your head, but then at least have a direction in life, right? So I know which direction I'm heading to. Whatever I'm doing for a goal which is written in 2035 and 2050. I'm just working backwards and figuring out if that what I'm doing today will fall in place when that time comes. I believe it does. So, yeah.
So because because entrepreneur, like there is a growing culture in India because of all this Shark Tank happening, right? So there is a growing culture in India of these entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. They want to make an impact. They want to start something new. So what do you think? Is this journey really that easy that people these days think? And because the good fact is that people are starting thinking about entrepreneur journey and making an impact. But what do you think? Is it really easy? And for people who don't have any experience in particular, so is that easy for them to step into the field and become an entrepreneur?
Well, this entire journey of entrepreneurship is very flashy. When I say flashy, is that it has a lot of lure where people get attracted to. All I want to say is that this is a much difficult terrain if you're really serious about it. You go from a 9 to 6 job to 24 into 7 job, right? So it never ends. But to answer your question, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I always believe there should be two things whenever you look at entrepreneurship. One, which is a hidden passion, which should be there. And second, there should be a business need, which is not your business need, but of the public, right? Which means of the consumers and consumers.
Consumers
if these
always
two,
comes up.
correct. So if these two things, if the consumers need it, but you're not passionate about it, you won't be able to stick to it. And if you are very passionate about it and the consumers don't need it, then it becomes an NGO, right? So non-for-profit. So you really have to figure out in terms of what your consumer wants, and do you really want to do that? And if both of them meets together, that's when we should fall into this part of entrepreneurship. And the journey will be very difficult. Like having weekends, a day and off, plus several days in a year off, plus getting work-life balance, you will get into a world where there's no work-life balance. I've not taken a single leave in the last 9.5, 10 months. Been continuous, no work day has been less than 12 to 16 hours a day. And that's the grind. So
that's how entrepreneurs hustle.
That's how it
goes on forever.
It's not what you see on Shark Tank, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because there is a growing culture and people these days see that, it's very easy to, just become an entrepreneur. They feel that, okay, we will just go and pitch in ideas, but they don't even understand the basics of the entrepreneur. So, just wanted to make it very clear for all those audience out there that the journey is not that easy. So also, so when we talk about, entrepreneur, I kind of, relate it to the investment, like, because high risk is equal to high return. And that is what I feel that is also an entrepreneur journey. But then there is a phenomenon called calculated risk. So just wanting to know that, was it a calculated risk or a gut feeling, or was it a mixture of both of these, things, and you felt like, okay, this is it, what I want to do? Because, we tend to have so many ideas, like I also have so many ideas, but I don't think so that I have that in my blood, so I can't turn that into business. So how did that happen? Was it like both of these mixed together? But how did actually work out for you?
Oh, well, I think it depends on people to people. Some entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, some entrepreneurs like love to have gut feeling. Uh, I am a person who believes a lot in the calculated risk, and gut feeling comes on the go. So
Mhm.
bigger decisions for people like me or me, I believe gut feeling is something which I always do day in and day out. But then the major decisions in life, which is this moving to form a corporate career, which is very successful and moving towards a great path and quitting everything, starting something new, as fresh as this, I believe a gut feeling itself is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So I took a calculated risk. I knew I first covered all my bases, made sure I'm financially secured, made sure my dependents are financially secured, made sure that whatever be the outcome of this, my standard of living stays what it is for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
Then figured out that there is a business need, tested it out, waited for 1 year to make sure this is not an impulse, this is not something which is a passing phase. And every day you get so many ideas. I
Yeah.
started this since 2016, right? And I started writing
Oh.
down ideas, its pros and cons, started making business models. And then some would
Mhm.
stay, some would fade away. And,
Yeah.
then it becomes like a passing rain. It's really not a monsoon, which stays for a couple of months. So the passing rain and monsoon is a very different thing, right? So, or let's say a seasoned year, when you can pass through 4 phases in a year and you know that idea still sticks with you, it means whatever be the scenario, you really feel it. And in
Yeah.
all those 4 seasons, the customer needs it. This is a
Yeah.
problem to solve.
Mhm.
So it happened to me, and that's where the coffee stuck with me since a year and a half. And then I said, it's now, as we say, it's up or never. So we said, now
Yeah.
is the
Oh,
time. Let's go
that's
for
how
it.
it's like. Oh, that's the name. So that's how the name came in. Abo never.
Correct. So it's like the time to advertise specialty coffee in India is up.
Okay.
So
Oh,
go
now
for
I
it
get it.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought that up coffee means like now we will have coffee. So yeah, but yeah, nice thinking. Yeah, I
Well,
never
that's
thought
there
that.
as
I never.
well.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
there
that's
as
there as well.
well.
Yeah.
That's there as well. We are very fast in terms of delivering of brewing our coffee, and then type of position is to be efficient. So what
Hmm.
you're saying is right, true as well.
Hmm.
Plus, we say that it's a declaration to make premium coffee affordable and accessible.
Yeah, I understood. I understood. And so, because you have so much corporate experience, Handy, so did it come? I'm assuming that obviously, like whatever we learn, I think that like whatever the experience teaches us, that's best teacher. So, like whatever you learned over this entire 9 or 10 years of corporate journey, did that came in handy? When you were starting the entrepreneur journey, or you had to start from scratch?
Well, it did. I mean, I think life is a journey than being an absolute figure. Oh,
Hmm.
the absolute destination. So absolutely it has the kind of relationships, the kind of network, the kind of connections, the things I've learned has helped me incredibly, right? I would say I would be a different person if I didn't start it the way
Hmm.
that I did. Helped me set up
Yeah.
the foundation for my own skills, for my financials, for my planning in life. Helped me build networks, the people, the kind of lessons I've learned. So it has helped me incredibly well, and that's why I always believe that unless you come from a business family, unless you are handed over a business on a plate
Yeah.
uh, as a part of your family business, and you're starting on your own, or you're going and you're the first generation hustler in the family, I would highly recommend start working somewhere,
Hmm.
get hands on. That's where you
Yeah.
learn basic skills, and then go
Yeah.
all by your own, because then you know
Yeah.
in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with your point, because I feel that still in the Indian education system there is a huge gap between like what you actually see in the corporate world and what you are taught. So uh, you can't say that you are fit entrepreneur, but again there are always exceptions out there. So so there are a lot of people who want to start their journey, and they want to overcome that social stigma. The obviously our parents, I won't say that they don't support us, they're just concerned because entrepreneur journey, it's risky, and more risk is equal to less return. So they just care about the future. So how should one convince their parents, like this is what they want to do? And because I know that this is so tough, and that is the biggest barrier, to be honest, to overcome, because you always think about what will my parents say, will they support me? So how to overcome that?
Well, I don't think my parents will understand this. So that maybe it's a very tricky question. But I'll tell you one thing, and that's true for entrepreneurship or any decision in life. So parents love you and love you for good,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
care for you and they care for you for good. But then they have a particular spectrum or lens of seeing, right? They always
Mm-hmm.
mean good for you. But then their sight is limited to your welfare. They may and may not be an equal stakeholder as you grow and develop in your life
Yeah.
to your aspirations, because they don't see the world as you see, right? So one of the ways is to become, first of all, independent, be on your own
Mm-hmm.
toes, be on your own feet. When you do that, it's a soft message to your parents. But you know what? I'm going to take care of myself. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you make them feel that you can take care of them regardless of whatever you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they know that my son or daughter is going to be fine, even whatever he or she does, and this doesn't come naturally in a flash. It's a period, it's a phase.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
come in years. For some, it comes in 10, for some, 10 years, for some, it comes in 10 months. It depends, depending on where your parents are located, which part of the country they are in, what's the exposure level. This all decides this particular aspect, right? So depending on what is the family background is, business, job, which demography of the country comes from, there's a lot of factors that come into play, and then with time it improves, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the very simple thing, and I always say the two things to do. Number one, stand on your own feet, make yourself independent financially, emotionally, intellectually, overall. Number one. Number two, make your parents dependent when they're anyway dependent. With time, they expect from you. I'm not saying make them
Yeah.
dependent on you, but they make them feel comfortable that whatever you
Yeah.
do in life, nothing is going to hurt you or them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they get that feeling that my child is going to be fine, and they get that confidence that my child is going to come out of whatever he or she steps into, that's when
Mm-hmm.
the convincing part becomes easy.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, are my parents still convinced? I don't think so, man. The career I had, the aspirations and the things were going, they're very happy. Like any other parent,
Yeah.
they wanted me to settle down, own a house, or get a couple of more things and get married and have a settled life, and
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
they have grandchildren. I chose a different path. But are they happy with what I'm doing? I believe so. They are. They are content, and they have accepted the fact that
Yeah.
they know I can take care of this. So,
Yeah. And are
Indian
they
parents
enjoying
are
your
tricky
coffee?
anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they do. They were there at the launch of our second store, and they love it. So yeah.
Oh, that's good too. And what about your relatives and all those so-called people who just call you and ask you how you're
Well,
doing?
the relatives won't get it ever. So I don't expect them to get it ever as well. I think the journey itself speaks for it. So maybe
Mhm.
years down the line, how the journey and
Yeah.
life experience takes me,
Mhm.
they'll get to know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't doubt
That's
that.
good. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the message is very straight to the audience out there that the journey is not easy, and I feel that from a conversation that we have had so far, I feel that you should also have the passion, and you should be confident about what you are doing. Then only you can convince your parents, because if you are not confident, right? If you don't have that in you, then I don't think so that you will be ever able to convince your parents. So I think that passion was always inside you, and that comes to me. I come to the point where I will be talking about the Sarthak Mentoring Foundation, because I think, do you feel that that was a turning point? That is where the seed was, like all this journey of finding something, interacting with people, mentoring them. Was that the starting point of this journey? So just talk a little bit
No, no,
about
it's
how that
been
venture started.
now that's been different. That's because more of how I was grown up. I come from a small town in
Mm-hmm.
Bihar. I've always lacked mentorship. Never got really access to good, information back in those days, early 2000s. Internet was not a thing in India. We still used to have the basic Nokia phone. Owning a
Yeah.
earphone was a pleasure, was a privilege. So in those days, going to cyber cafe was crazy and expensive, and you would rather debate should you
Mm-hmm.
go or not, right?
Yeah.
So I always lacked mentorship and stuff. So when I grew up, when I went into the ISM, then I figured out that it doesn't matter how intelligent or what's the intellectual level, if you can't express and tell a story, uh, it's worth penny. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So I felt there is a gap in terms of life skills. that people get access to living in a city or a small village or town, or people coming from disadvantaged background. That's where the idea of startup mentoring was born. That's way back 2012, 2013. Eventually, it took shape in 2017 when I formally organized formed an organization. But that's social entrepreneurship. That's completely born out of passion to help out, make this world more equitable, to defeat the lottery of birth, and things around it. Entrepreneurship is a very different journey, which popped up in 2016 in my head. And then I realized that the kick in my life, or whatever I want to do in 2035 and then further 2050, post for this path than the comfortable path that I was in, right? So, yeah, that's the essence of two different journeys altogether.
Oh, but that's a lovely idea, because I've seen a lot of volunteers have associated with you, and you have even mentored so many students in so many different states. So just for the audience out there, if somebody wants to be a part of your organization and want to volunteer, so how can they become part of this wonderful organization?
Well, it's very simple. Go to the website, www.southmentoring.org, apply for a mentor. There is a form, fill up the form, our team will reach out to you. And then further we'll be screened. There will be 2 checks. And then all good, you're in.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm hopeful that a lot of people will join this wonderful organization, and we can mentor many people. So now, sir, again, hitting the base with your coffee business. So because there is a growing culture of entrepreneurs, and I've seen a lot of new coffee businesses are coming into the market. So how did you do that competitive analysis, and how do you feel that, how are you different to all those competitors out there? Like, what is the unique proposition in the market?
Right. So the entire idea of coffee in India is over luxurified. Probably I'll ask you a question which I probably ask every time somebody asks me this question is, have you been to, last time, do you like coffee, by the way? Do you drink coffee?
I only take coffee as a pre-workout.
Got it. So when was the last time you had coffee outside? In a cafe?
I don't know. It's been ages.
In ages. Okay. Would you remember any time you went out, how much that cup of coffee cost you?
Yeah.
How much was it?
350. 350.
Right. So can you guess the cost of that coffee?
No idea.
Make a guess.
Are you talking about the beans, coffee beans?
No, I'm talking about the cost. For example, wherever you bought that cup of coffee for 350, what would be the cost to that company? Make a guess.
I'm assuming, given the, milk charges and everything, maybe around maximum 10, 20 bucks, 10, 20 rupees. That's it.
So you paid for a coffee, which is 10, 20 bucks, you paid 350?
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Yeah, because if you look at the quantity of the coffee, like obviously what I'm assuming that they may be taking it from the wholesaler, and they may be buying in bulk, and obviously it's cheaper for them. And what I feel is that the food and all these businesses, like, you decide the price. So if the location is good, they can charge you 350, like how Starbucks charges. I don't really get an idea like why they have to charge so much, but it's a brand that they charge for.
Well, the average cost of goods sold in food and beverage industry is around 25-30%. So essentially, any food that you buy in the market, be it pizza, be it burger, if you pay 200 bucks, it should cost, the cost to the company should be anywhere between 60 to 90 bucks. Right? So if it's 200, if it's 300, it should be 90 to 120. Right? That's the standard business. But then you had a very random guess and logic, but then the answer is right? The 350 bucks of coffee that you pay, the actual cost is around 17. So it's only coffee in the country, which is so luxurified, right? So the COGS is actually less than 5%. So and even then the coffee that you drink there is actually burnt. And that's what I felt when I lived in Europe, had coffee there, came back to India, and I realized coffee is so shit here. And then figured out, if you go out there and try to find good coffee, it's very difficult to find, number one, and even if you find it, so expensive, right? So same coffee, for example, that you pay 350 here is the same cost in the US, is the same cost in Europe, while India produces so much of coffee, the fifth largest producer of coffee in the world. There's no sense that in India coffee should be expensive. So that's what we do. Overall, Parth, we are into the concept of making India's highest rated coffee, one of the most premium coffees in India, affordable and accessible. We serve, we are 1/3 the price of what you mentioned, and we are 3 times better graded in terms of the quality of coffee that you had last time where you paid 350, right? So, or the names that you just took. So that's what we do. We are the GO of the coffee. That's how we declare ourselves. We want to be all over
Mm-hmm.
the countries, find a
Mm-hmm.
niche in terms of making good coffee, great coffee, premium minimum coffee at honest prices.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a USP.
So yeah, okay. That so sir, just wanted to touch base on that also. So so you're saying that you source your coffee locally?
We get it from Karnataka in Chikmagalur, which is
Okay.
the largest
Okay.
producing coffee region in the country.
Hmm. Because like I was really shocked, on your website, one of the facts that you mentioned that it's like the coffee that I'm consuming right now, it's stored for 1 or 2 years, something like that. You mentioned like they cold store it and then then it's sent out to the consumers.
That's
So
instant coffee that you're drinking now. Correct.
yeah, yeah.
So the majority of India drinks instant coffee, which is essentially the coffee that you brew it today and then you
Hmm.
deep freeze it and then you store it and
Mm,
you put it in bottles and then you mix it with water and drink. And it has
mm,
preservatives, it has chicory, it's adulterated, and that's what India drinks. Because India don't have access for some marketing reasons, and the reasons because a lot of coffee needs to be exported, we have been curtailed to the access to fresh coffee. And if it's
yeah.
available, it's expensive. And that's what we solve. So our coffee is one of the highest graded, served, brewed right in front of you through imported espresso machines, brewed to perfection, every single cup served to you right there. So we want to break that thing of instant coffee in India.
Mm.
You won't eat a frozen burger, would you?
No, never.
But that's
Yeah,
the
because
misery.
that,
You drink
yeah,
frozen
yeah.
coffee every day.
Yeah, because that was a most shocking fact to me. When I read on your website, and then I was starting, then I started doing my research, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And I think there are a lot many audience out there who are not aware of this fact, and this needs to be brought into the limelight that this is something which is happening in real. So,
Correct.
and I think that is a major thing, that people should know, and then the real change starts. Because if
Correct.
you're not aware, then you're just blinded by the fact, and you just start consuming that. So, how can someone grab your coffee, then?
Well, if you're in Bombay, you can visit one of our stores. We're right now in Andheri West in Versova. We are in Marol and Andheri East. We are in Powai in the Ranmani Powai area. And then if you
Oh,
work in Reliance in Mumbai, we are in Geo Corporate Park in Navi Mumbai. We are
oh,
transiting a lot in metro stations. We should be in a metro station in a couple of days in Chakala Metro
mm-hmm.
Station. If you're not in Bombay, you are outside, you can order online through our website, which is www.upcoffeeabcoffee.in. With whatever coffee equipment you have. If you have no coffee equipment, just order chunni brand. It's the way you make chai with a chunni.
Yeah.
Just make sure you select chunni grind and we'll send you according to that. So yeah, these are some of the ways.
Oh, no. So, the only way to order is through your website.
At the moment, you can. So if you're in Bombay, you can walk in. You can order via Swiggy,
Oh,
Zomato, Dine Out, Paytm,
okay.
Magic Pen. If you're not in Bombay, you can order via website.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And so, so because you are like, we are like Advantage Learning, we are catering to this, transition of the oil and gas industry, and you have been a part of this industry. And, there are so many people out there, our audience, they are from this industry. And what I feel is that there is a major shift happening in the industry. And because you're a part of this industry, what do you think the industry is headed to? And like, there are a lot many people who are starting their career, and I've seen like a lot many people already in the industry. They are transitioning, they're changing their career paths. So what will be your message to the audience out there who have just started their career, or like who just entered into college and they're studying maybe petroleum related some degree?
So, it's a great question. I've always believed that the energy industry is never going to die.
Yeah.
Right. What is going to change is the pie of energy distribution. So if you are in the energy industry, if you just started studying or working, trust me, it's an amazing place to be. I am what I am today thanks to the energy industry. So it's an amazing industry, pays you well, makes you travel, gets you to see the world, helps you fuel the world, and control a lot of ecosystem of the world how it is today, right? But then what it also means that you have to learn the new rules of the game, and the rules of the game has changed. No
Hmm.
more a conventional reservoir production or drilling engineer can, the way you can start, you can end the career. It probably, if you start as a reservoir engineer, you won't end as a reservoir in terms of a career today. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of changes that is happening, and that's what you need to adapt. And the simple understanding of that is the energy pie, right? So if you look at distributions of oil, gas, coal, renewable resources, solar, nuclear, wind, lithium, you can count as many as you can. But then the consumption and the production of oil and gas is not reducing. in terms of
Yes.
quantity. What's reducing is its percentage in the energy pie, right? Which is shuffling. So because the world needs more energy, because the entire requirement everywhere around the world is increasing, oil and gas for the next at least 2 decades, the quantity is only going to increase. But the percentage of oil and gas contribution in the entire energy production or consumption is going to reduce.
Reduce.
And that's where you need to see that as an opportunity and learn and diversify and make yourself ready to change from the thought process. Before my probably let's say a decade ago, if you started a career in production, you might end up ending a career in production. Today, you may not.
Yeah.
Probably you will not. So that's the message. Industry is amazing. It's going to be there. All you need to be doing is being flexible and
This is what is happening. So, this is what we have observed in the market that, because of the turmoil in the oil and gas industry, like the companies are not visiting the campus, and the ones visiting, they are more into this analyst and, all this field. So that is why there is this transitioning happening, because we have seen that, these big companies, when you talk about all these big majors, they don't hire so many people. So a batch can be around 200 people, like 200 students, but only, a handful of them get placed in all these big majors. So the rest 190 of them, they are with jobless, and the only option for them out there is either learning these new tools and languages, getting into this company. So how can those people survive in this industry then?
well, I've always believed I when I studied petroleum engineering, then I studied law, and then I studied masters in
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah.
And today I'm working in coffee, which is food and beverage. Has no relation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if this, the reason why I'm explaining this is because I don't think what you study is what you end up doing. And I don't think
Mm.
you should confine yourself in saying that, okay, I have put myself and I'm so religious that I studied petroleum or I studied gas or I studied this, I'm going to do that. Right? You're doing graduation because you are positioning yourself that you are good to learn, that you enjoyed learning, and that you can figure things out, right? So that's something you have to be looking towards when it comes to doing graduation and stuff. Now, the rest 190 of them, as you rightly said, I think the jobs in those particular mainstream is reducing, is going to reduce. That's what I'm saying. It's very much time now to diversify. Don't think that you studied petroleum engineering, so you'll be placed in
Yeah.
Shell, the Schlumberger, the ONGCs, the IOCs. No, it's not going to happen because the positions have reduced. So where you should actually be looking at what are the different segments these companies are doing. Do I really like the
Mm.
industry after studying for 4 years? Or should I be diversifying into tech? Or should I be going into supply chain? Or should I be going into operations? Or do I
Yeah.
really need a further education? These are the questions that you need to be asking while you are studying for 4 years, right? So that's my suggestion. Be open, look for opportunities, grow your skills, and do
Mm.
not put yourself in a bait that I'm only going to do work in this particular industry, and if I don't find a job, I'm jobless. That's the worst
Yeah.
thing you can do today.
Because I completely agree with the point that the growth and learning, this never stops. So you, at any point in your career, you always have to learn and grow. And I'm like assuming that you as an entrepreneur, you are also starting a new journey and you're learning each and every day.
Right.
Yeah. But thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. And it has been lovely interacting with you. And thank you again for being our first guest for a podcast. And to all our audience out there, go enjoy this amazing coffee. As you all know that what you are consuming today has been brewed maybe 2 years back. So go and fetch these wonderful fresh coffee from upcoffee.com. Or if you are in Mumbai, go and grab coffee from the store. But thank you once again, sir, for being a part of our podcast. It was lovely interacting with you. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thanks a
And
lot,
all the
Parth.
very best, and like huge success, all the very best. Wish you all the very best for like your business, and may grow, and may we see your outlets in all other states of in India as well.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
Thanks a lot, Parth. And
No
thanks
worries.
everyone
Thank you so
listening to the
much.
podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you, sir.